The NHL on NBC Game of the Week is presented by Progressive Insurance.
History can be motivating.
Time runs out on the Capitals.
The Stanley Cup to the Chicago Blackhawks. The Capitals are on the rise and ready to put the past behind them. Ovechkin to win it. While the defending champions look to repeat their recent success. Blackhawks win. Stanley Cup hopefuls on a mission. Next on NBC. Come on! Woo! What a goal! It's my one scores! From Washington, it's the NHL on NBC, presented by Progressive Insurance. With Eddie Olczyk, I'm Mike Emmerich. To the ice, Pierre Maguire with the Capitals' Mike Knuble.
Very much, Doc. Mike, your team's won 7 in a row. Does defense first matter that much?
Well, that's how we've gotten to this point, and we've been struggling to score goals at times, but you look at our record, they're all close wins, they're all close games, and defense has been the thing that shined the most.
Braden Holtby's a 21-year-old goaltender. He's won his last 3 games that he's played for you. What has he done to give you guys confidence?
Well, he's kept us in the game, make the saves he's got to make. He hasn't had to be spectacular because I think we've been pretty good in front of him, but just been solid and giving us a chance to win every night.
Keep having fun, Mike.
Thank you, Pierre.
26-year-old Corey Crawford, 14th straight start for Chicago, had won 8 straight until this past week. And you heard about Holtby at the other end off 3 straight starts and victories, a 40-save, 2-1 win Friday against Carolina. Alexander Ovechkin with 28 goals. His line mates are Mike Knuble, Marcus Johansson to start. 85 goals will be starting up front for Chicago. Patrick Sharp, Jonathan Toews, and Patrick Kane. Duncan Keith, Brent Seabrook. The defense for Chicago. And for Washington, it's Carl Alsner and John Carlson. The only meeting between these two this year, and it is almost ready. In charge of the game, Ian Walsh and Dave Jackson. Brian Mock and Tony Saracolo, 2 linesmen trained in the United States officiating system, are the guys that are handling the lines for today. Braden Holtby with the first play to make, and Patrick Kane cut it off there. From the 2 aside, it comes up to Ovechkin, who slung it around behind, and Carlson steps to it there. The hero of a gold medal for the World Juniors, a swat of a stick, and Chalmerson decides to take the body, but it's an illegal play on the part of the Chicago Blackhawks. Eddie, aside from the goaltending today, what position will make the most difference in the outcome?
Well, I think I'm going to zero in on the center ice position, Doc. Both the Capitals and the Blackhawks are down to center icemen, a top 2 center icemen. So I'm going to look at the guys in the middle, going to fill that spot, not only offensively, but distributing. A lot of offensive talent on both of these teams, but more importantly, defensively. Who's going to be the guy to step up? And Mike Knuble takes an early penalty, knocking the stick out of the hands of Nicholas Chalmerson, who was defending, and an early power play for the Blackhawks.
Blackhawks are 1 for 16 over the last 6 games. This is the 2nd best power play in the league of 30 teams, up against the 3rd best penalty killing unit. Puck rolled along behind, and Kane with a pass in front, and a strong shot by Kopecky was blocked off by Holtby. Fed back near Kane. Big drive by Sharp is turned aside by Holtby. Kopecky slung it behind. Kane tried to feather it in front. John Erskine said no, and it's cleared.
Edzo and Doc, I'll tell you right now about Braden Holtby. He is completely unflappable. He won't be rattled. He's thriving in this environment. He comes from a town of 633 people in Marshall, Saskatchewan, just outside Lloydminster, and he's the real deal.
That's about 2 sections here at Verizon Center. And the crowds in Hershey are over 10,000 almost every game, so gradually he's seen bigger throngs to watch him play. Directed on back off of Schultz, thrown by Holtby, and back down. Took his matters into his own hands with 45 seconds to go on his team's kill. Marian Hossa is out there now as it's brought back on by Duncan Keith. Up the wing, good close off done there on Michael Frolik. Meanwhile, paddled on and thrown behind by Chimera. And again cleared back down. The last 9 kills have seen the Capitals only yield 4 shots on goal. That means a lot of shots blocked and a lot of this. clearing the puck out of harm's way.
Nice stick defensively there by John Carlson, and then he had that support from Jason Chimera.
Held on back by Kane. Lifted back along further for the play back to Seabrook, able to keep play alive and lead it on across. Got it back yet again from Campoli and fired one that ricocheted off Holtby on the attempted deflection by Sharp. Penalty time is up. Knuble is out of the box. Forced on by Carlson. Trouble there, but Boyd Gordon took over. The leading tenured Cap is Boyd Gordon, 15 in red. Laid back ahead now to Sharp, who gains the zone. Fakes the drive and then wrists one that is calmly blocked away again by Holtby. 3-on-2. Johansson to Ovechkin. Peels free, and his shot was stifled, and then he followed through, and that one was well wide. Good defensive play there made by Chicago to deny Alexander Ovechkin.
Yeah, that was Nick Leddy who made a real good play on that 3-on-2.
Shot by Jake Dowell deflected away and carried along by Keith. Big Brian Bickle out touring the left wing, comes to the bench right near Pierre as the Blackhawks get a change in lines made, but the puck turned over to the Caps, so could not be knifed in just yet. Delayed and then fired back in by Alexander Semin.
Ovechkin came off the ice screaming, mad at himself that he didn't capitalize on that last offensive chance.
His goal-scoring total is down over most years. But so is the case now in the NHL in terms of goals being so hard to come by. Bruce Boudreau, the coach, was saying before the game. Scoring is low. We might have one guy that'll get 50 goals and maybe a couple that'll get 40. But every game is a premium now, and scoring is low because there are 5 guys in front of goaltenders to block shots. Going back to get this now is Brian Campbell. Campbell having returned to the lineup after missing a couple. Jabbed around now to Chris Campoli.
That one might only have a couple of 40-goal scores. You talk about the end of the year, and it gets so tight defensively.
Steven Stamkos has 43. Daniel Sedin, 37. He is second.
We've got Ryan Kessler in Vancouver as well with 34. And Patrick Sharp for the Blackhawks has 34. And with Corey Perry.
32 for Sidney Crosby, who hasn't played since early January. 32. What a start he had. Now it's on back for a shot. Score! Letting it go was Nick Leddy, and the Hawks have gotten the first.
It's not a good goal for Braden Holtby to give up, but Enzo, watch Matt Hendricks get in the lane. I think he screened his own goaltender on the Leddy shot.
Well, that second and third wave. Michael Frolik moves this puck. He'll enter the zone. I'll stop it right here. Here eventually is the goal scorer right here. And watch what happens. Pierre's making mention. Hendricks comes circling down. The puck will work itself back to Nick Leddy, and this puck finds its way to the back of the net.
You got a lot of red sweaters in the lane. It's a great job by Hossa shielding the puck, and a good release by Leddy to get it through. But I don't think Holtby saw it until the very last second.
Yeah, I think that puck might have been deflected about 5 feet out in front of Braden Holtby. Puck looked like it was off the ice about 2 feet, and then once it got right near the goaltender. Not sure if it was off of Michael Frolik, who initially started that play.
Patrick Kane dips back to take this. His team has gotten the first goal of the game. Carried back on by Kane. Native of Buffalo is rubbed out along the boards by Matt Bradley, and it's trickled on back. Capitals have won 7 straight, 4 straight at home, 9 wins in 10. 8 straight for the Blackhawks until this past week when a Florida trip didn't go the way they had planned or wanted it to. So they've won 8 of the last 10 and have gone from 11th to 5th in fairly short order. Trying to fight his way through was Ovechkin, and it's blocked aside by Crawford.
What a one-on-one play. Seabrook on Ovechkin. Well done by Seabrook.
Ovechkin with his first marker of the day in hit category, number 213 there. We get a halt to play down to Pierre.
Well, you look at Braden Holtby and the way he's played for the Washington Capitals. He's won the last 3 games he's played in, and this is one of the reasons why he's been so good. When you look at it, for Braden Holtby, it's been about his composure under fire. That first power play, he comes across calm, cool, and collected, shutting it down. Here's another example. Kane out front. He eats that puck up, and one of the underrated parts of his game is his puck handling. He's going to get this shoot in, and Edzo and Doc, this guy's about as good as Marty Brodeur when it comes to handling the puck. That's one of the reasons why the Washington Capitals Capitals, and their chief scout, Ross Mahoney, took him in the 4th round of the 08 draft. Excellent puck handler.
Won 25 games in Hershey for their development team there in the American Hockey League last year. But as a power play on for the Hawks again, and a feed in front. Oh, and they had Kopecky parked there, and then a big drive by Seabrook, and that rattled wide. Oh, and Sharp thought he had it. He did not. Moving on in is Boyd Gordon. Fires! Score!
Here's Patrick Sharp. He's going to go in, but eventual goal scorer is right there. Sharp thinks he has it, and it just goes right under his blade. It didn't go over, it went right under, and then Boyd Gordon just blows it right by Corey Crawford.
Boyd Gordon's a kid that played for the Red Deer Rebels in the Western Hockey League. He's a 4th-line center here, but one of the reasons why they have the top penalty kills in the league, or right near the top, is because of efforts from guys like Boyd Gordon and Jason Chimera. They've bought into their roles, and they make a difference.
7th shorthanded goal of the year for the Capitals. Moving on is Frolik in a shot, and that one blocked aside by Holtby, and then it's cleared back out.
You know, it's almost that situation for Patrick Sharp as he's going to that puck. He's looking to see what his options are, and you just take your eye off of it for a second. The blade is on the ice, and just lift your blade up a little bit, and it just goes right under, and there goes Boyd Gordon at the end of a long shift. He was getting tired. Seabrook did a nice job of closing the gap, but a perfect shot.
See how aggressive Washington is, Ed? So there's another example of aggression from Erskine. This Washington penalty kill is completely different because of how aggressive they are in all 3 zones.
Well, they've been strong overall on the year in this department. They'd like to work on their power play and have it better, but the penalty kill has been solid as Taves tries to break that by giving to Campbell, and a shot was deflected wide. Out of the outside by Jonathan Taves, captain of the team. Given back on to Patrick Kane. Taves drifting a little bit to the right. The shot by Kane, and that one went wide and rattled on out where Duncan Keith can take over with 25 left on the Capitals' kill. Kane gains the zone again, this time drifted it along for the feed on back to Sharp, and his shot went wide. Patrick Sharp, the leader in goals, power play goals, and shots on this team. Will have to drop over to the bench and get a rest here in the last 8 seconds of his team's power play.
Edzo, what a waiver pick up by the Washington Capitals, and Marco Sturm over 50 playoff games. Look at him handle the puck again. Holtby, he loves that. But Marco Sturm's brought a lot of penalty killing prowess to this Capitals team as well.
Yeah, George must be doing a lot of tinkering the last couple of weeks before the trade deadline.
Ovechkin with a knuckler that Crawford on second effort can cover. Midway, first period. Both teams with 1. Join in with us because it's time now for Honda's Name That Squirt. Okay. Well, what that time doesn't help us. I was hoping for a clue.
Jonathan Taves.
Taves.
He got shoulder pads on Christmas Day.
The haircut's about the same, too. The pride of the University of North Dakota, kid out of Winnipeg, Manitoba. Perfectly bilingual. He's the ultimate poster child for everything that's great in the National Hockey League, Jonathan Taves. Edzo, fair to say one of the best young leaders in all of pro sport, not just hockey?
Yeah, absolutely.
First year at the University of North Dakota, he was the youngest player in college hockey in the country at 17. Reaching in for that one is Jason Arnott. Bruce Boudreau was talking to us before the game about what a strong player that Arnott has been, not only on the ice, but a force in the locker room, and a real presence there for the Caps.
Great relationship between Arnott and Ovechkin really starting to open up.
Here's Arnott feeding in the shot. Oh, fought off a little bit, but covered by Crawford. Expand your hockey experience with the Progressive Insurance StarCam on NBCSports.com and NHL.com. Today we'll focus on Alex Ovechkin of the Caps in the first and third periods, Jonathan Taves and the Blackhawks in the second. The Progressive Insurance StarCam is available now at NBCSports.com and NHL.com. He is 1 point away, Jonathan Taves, from his career high of 69 points. By the way, the scoring on the first goal, it does go to Nick Leddy from Hossa and Frolik. Drive went wide. The second goal was the first for the Caps, and that was shorthanded, unassisted more or less for Boyd Gordon. Touched out in front. Oh, and Johansson with a shot that's fought off by Crawford. And then it just bounced away from Mike Knuble, who was trying to charge on. Brought on by Hossa, and his shot is deflected wide. Oh, and Marian Hossa may have gotten away with one there. Knife gone back now to Frolik. And out of play.
Well, Marian Hossa in on the forecheck, trying to get this puck away from Marcus Johansson. And there you see the stick kind of go around the midsection. I don't know if it went around the skate or not. I don't know if he ended up losing an edge or not. But anytime you get your stick parallel like that and the guy goes down more times than not.
Edzo, I think the Johansson number 90 steps on the puck right there, and that's what puts him down. It's not the stick, it's a puck, and it's a great non-call.
Let's hear it there for Dave Jackson and Ian Walsh. Our spies tell us that when Ian Walsh played junior hockey with the Philadelphia Junior Flyers, he was their penalty minute leader. Surprised the Flyers didn't sign him. Offside is called. 9.5 gone first period, and the game tied at 1.
Edzo, I think it's, and Doc, I think it's fair to say now Jonathan Toews has to be part of the MVP discussion. Do you not agree? He's just been everything for the Hawks in their resurgence here.
Yeah, as long as they continue to shoot up the ladder in the Western Conference, I think he has to be considered. A lot of great candidates, not only in the Western Conference. I think Henrik Zetterberg, not a lot of people talk about him, but what he's done all season long in Detroit.
Carey Price in Montreal's got to be in there.
Marc-Andre Fleury has to be in the running as well with all the injuries that's gone on in Pittsburgh. There are a lot of guys that are in the running, but lots of hockey to be played, and you got to find your way up to the top of the leaderboard in either conference.
Line gets drawn below position number 8, 4 weeks from today. A week from today, we will be seeing those Pittsburgh Penguins at home at Consol Energy Center against the New York Rangers. Rangers better record on the road, and they pulled off an impressive win in a shootout last night in San Jose.
Speaking of potential MVPs, how about Henrik Lundqvist last night against San Jose? Spectacular in that game.
This went on through Kopetsky, but is steered around where eventually Matt Hendricks can charge on, though he gave it up at that point to Ryan Johnson. Past the halfway point of the first period, the shots are 6 apiece. The goals are 1 apiece. No luck there for Campbell, brought back ahead though, and steered in by Kopetsky. Along to get it is Brian Bickle, led it on back to the point where it is dropped back on by Campbell. When these two teams met last year in Chicago, Campbell was given a shove by Alexander Ovechkin, went heavily into the boards. Ovechkin was tossed. The Caps trailed 3-0, but came back and won the game in overtime. They don't meet that often, and Campbell probably felt that was a good thing. But here is Semin turning with this one.
Ovechkin got suspended 2 games from that hit.
This is held to the outside and led on back to the point, but lost back to center by the normally very sure-handed Dennis Wideman. What an acquisition that one turned out to be. He's a +7 in 6 games, and he has not been on the Caps team when they've lost.
Thought he was -26 in Florida. Unbelievable how it's changed.
Oh, there's one in front. Nick Leddy shut it down and almost directed it on goal, but almost the operative word. Jake Dowell tried to swing it further. Knifed right back out, and it is Seabrook who can step ahead with it. Brent Seabrook just gains the zone and flung one that ricocheted along for him to play behind, and Wideman turns with that one. Former Blue, former Bruin, as Pierre mentioned, former Florida Panther. And each time he went somewhere, there was something the teams knew they were getting with him, and the Caps had seen that already. Johansson fed it across. Tough play for Mike Knuble. The defense is starting to set in here for both teams. Frolik with a shot that is blocked aside. Blocking shots is something that's been key to every team in this league, it seems, and Washington in particular on their penalty kill. This came along behind now, and Bickle tried to jab it further, got it on to Marian Hossa. Hossa, who did not get away with one earlier, round behind for a feed in front that chipped off Frolik. Right in front off of Bickle and regathered by Johansson.
A nice idea there by Michael Frolik. Speaking of Florida Panthers, another former Panther on the move.
How's he worked out here?
He's actually played very well. He's created a lot of chances. I mean, he went, I think, 32 games, including the time he spent in Florida without scoring a goal. But he can play wing, he can play center, which he's doing right now. He's probably best at the wing position. He's given him a little bit more skill in the top six.
He is going to be a keeper for a long time for Chicago. He's a special talent, as you said, Ed.
67 in white is Michael Frolik. Trying to battle by as Chimera hooked one in front, but right onto Jonathan Taves' stick. And Taves wanted to spin further, but John Carlson said no, thinking the better of going out was the goaltender Crawford, and so it is held along now by Chimera. Popped one behind, turning with it is Eric Fair. Caps a much better team now that Fair is back. There's a ricochet in front off Luck, and another stop made by Crawford. He handled the pinball, and then he handled the shot. 6:32 to go, first period. A game tied at 1 here. This is the NHL on NBC Game of the Week, presented by Progressive Insurance. Time now for Edward Jones FaceTime. Pierre is with Washington coach Bruce Boudreau.
The team's playing a defense-first philosophy. Is it working so far here this afternoon?
So far, but it's tough against these guys. They're so fast. And when you haven't seen a team, you sort of takes a little bit to get to know what they're looking like.
How do you generate more of an intensity level for your group to try to overcome that?
Well, I don't think it's our intensity's there, and our intensity's going to be there. We're playing the Stanley Cup champions. We better be ready.
Holtby been a surprise for you?
Oh, he's been a fabulous surprise. But all three goalies under 22 years old have come in and done the job. So we hope it keeps going.
Thanks, Bruce.
Okay, Pierre.
A .677 winning percentage, the best of any active coach and the best of any coach with 250 games. This is his 295th, Bruce Boudreau. Off the face-off win, it is kept alive by the Capitals, jabbed near Boyd Gordon. But Michael Frolik popped one on. Lifted on by Scott Hannon, followed through, and a nice pass across, but it is tipped over and must be shuffleboarded along, and not successfully because of Erskine, and blasted back in by Seabrook, who was run off by Matt Bradley, and what have we. All of this called back on a delayed offside.
Well, right before we went to commercial break, watch the play that John Carlson will make on Jonathan Taves. And remember that great chance that Eric Fair had? Look at the play by Carlson. He comes in, and Taves thinks he's going to pitch up on him. But he kind of a bait-and-switch type of situation. And then right after that, this play happens because of the play by Carlson. Good save by Corey Crawford, and then the chance for Eric Fair. So the nice bait-and-switch by John Carlson on Jonathan Taves kept the play alive. If he just comes out of the zone right away, Taves knows he has time and space, but Taves anticipated a pinch, put his head down, tried to get it off the boards, and the Capitals kept it alive. Nice play there by Carlson.
Carlson only 21. Is that something that's taught, or is there sort of a sixth sense that a player has? Get to that in a moment. Here's a feed across. Oh, and Semin was defended off enough that he has to go to the outside and recover thanks to Victor Stahlberg. Then he wiped out there, and it's advanced on to Stahlberg, who can bring it ahead. Hands on to Thomas Kopetsky. Forehander ricocheted to the corner.
I think it's a combination of both, and more than anything else, it's just confidence to be able to stand up there and play one of those types of games. There was a time and a place to do it. Now it's a perfect spot.
Jason Arnott fed one, and Semin's shot was blocked off by Crawford. Around in front, it's dealt onto the back. Weidman a shot, and that one blocked aside. Another try by Schultz. No luck there. Lifted around for the play by Semin. Right back near Jason Arnott. Out of a 5-player cluster, it skipped on to a 6th. That's Duncan Keith, and it's deflected back down by Stahlberg. There'll be no icing here, and the teams make a change. To the last 5 minutes of the first period of this game. Washington 3 points behind idle Philadelphia for the conference lead, something that they enjoyed early this season. Centering pass by Ovechkin, and another try is just lobbed back into Crawford, who will hold. Scoreboard stuck at 1. The NHL on NBC is brought to you by Lexus. Escape convention in the radically new Lexus CT Hybrid. By Discover, it pays to discover. Official card of the NHL. By Wendy's, you know when it's real. And by Progressive Insurance, making it easy to shop for insurance. Capitals have the last 5 scoring chances. They've outchanced the Blackhawks 7-4 so far in the first period. Johansson stepped ahead for that one, but it had already gone to Hawks' possession. Outlet it on to Marian Hossa, but by him and down for John Erskine. Hossa got there first and touched, but it is played along further and directed by Ovechkin, shuffled on by Pickle. Marian Hossa, 81 is his number. His age is 32. He might be the most complete player that I've had a chance to see this year, and there are tons of them in the NHL, but he just does about everything well, especially the defensive side of the game. This comes on now to Johansson. Johansson shook one in front, bounced back along to Alexander Ovechkin, and Ovechkin is run into by Bickell. Hjalmarsson punched it ahead to him, and Bickell can start ahead. That sound pretty radical to say that?
It really does. I mean, when you're around the puck, both offensively and defensively, something's good going to happen. I don't think there's a better puck pursuer in the league than Marian Hossa. He just has that explosiveness to get on people and limit options for guys that have the puck.
Bear with a pretty good reach, and the return with Chimera to him did not work out well for them, so it is advanced ahead now by Taves, given on to Kane, laid to the back to Campbell. Hurried shot is deflected wide. Poked away from Taves, and so it's offense Washington. 3:20 to go in the first period. The shots are 9-7 in favor of the Caps. Big awe went up from the crowd on that one. Punch back around behind, and Patrick Sharp takes over there. 2 goals from his career high of 36. Sharp dropped it back. Taves got it there, and a shot, and that wound up being deflected away by the defense. Played back on by Carlson, and it careened on back where Nick Leddy could go to get it.
Carlson and Alsner will get all the big minutes against Taves, Kane, and Sharp. And on the other side, it's Seabrook who's going to get a lot of big minutes along with Hjalmarsson against Ovechkin. So the matchups are clearly there, Doc and Edzo.
Want more hockey? The NHL Game Center Live app gives you live game audio, video, and highlights right on your phone exclusively from Verizon.
Yeah, to that point, Pierre, of the matchups that the coaches want, they feel are favorable for their clubs. All it takes is that one shift, that one opportunity where you get your big line out there against the Caps second or third set, or maybe you get Ovechkin the same thing against the Blackhawks second and third set. And you got to be sharp, and especially on that bench, you got to be ready, because you know the matchups in a situation. You got to be able to when to change and who's your man. You don't want to get caught with too many guys on the ice.
Troy Brouwer fell and dropped that one across, but here's Arnott with it and a shot, and that one went wide. Came back along for Schultz, ladled further by Arnott over to Alexander Semin, tossed one in front that's forced away right back to him by Leddy, tapped around behind for the turn to the outside. They try to set up Semin this time, but it's laid onto the back for the try by Weidman that ricocheted off Brouwer. Directed out in front on the Arnott pass from Semin, but again the Blackhawks can take over. Off of the glove of Schultz, it is back in, and an offside is called with 1:57 to go here in the first.
Edzo, Brent Seabrook just signed a big contract with the Chicago Blackhawks. He's one of the few big bodies that can actually match pace with Alexander Ovechkin in the league. He and Nicholas Hjalmarsson will play against Knuble, Johansson, and Ovechkin this afternoon. And I thought that was a tremendous signing by Stan Bowman and the Chicago Blackhawks, keeping Brent Seabrook in Chicago.
And he brings the dimension that they need. Not only a great leader and can bring the offense, but more importantly, that big body, to Pierre's point, something that they really don't have on the back end when it comes to physical play.
Edzo, is this a soft call? Bickell's going to get called for holding. I don't know.
Well, the last time the puck was in that corner, we missed, so the jury up here is just going to wait, Pierre.
There's the left hand.
Yeah.
Just a free hand, and you saw Erskine go down. Bickell's strong, but I don't know if he's that strong. I think Erskine did a good job of selling that one.
Yeah, he sold it pretty good.
You get your free hand in there.
To paraphrase Bobby Clark, if you're not selling, you're not trying. Power play sponsored by Bud Light. Here we go as the Caps have the offensive zone face-off, and Brooks Light.
About Washington's power play, Edzo and Doc, 23rd in the league. This is their 230th power play of the season. And they've only scored 37 power play goals. Very strange for a team that used to thrive on the power play and just devour teams.
There's a problem with the scoreboard clock right now, so we'll wait on that. Bruce Boudreau, in his early years of coaching in the American Hockey League, discovered that he wasn't having success on the road with line changes. That's always hard because you have to make the first decision. then the home team responds. So he called Stan Bowman's father, Scotty, who was still coaching in the NHL at that time. And Scotty's advice was, when you're on the road, take a lot of time, make a change after every whistle. It ticks the home team off because you're slowing the game down to make those changes, and pretty soon you start to get the edge. And he said, I never forgot that. So we'll watch to see if when they go on the road next time he delays. Here's a try by Light that shoved across and Hossa cleared. Nicely kept, perhaps by accident, but kept nonetheless. And so they can attack once more with Jason Arnott connecting with Brooks Light. Onto the back to Weidman. Give it on to Arnott. Blocks one that's turned aside by Seabrook. Final minute of play in this period. Arnott again! Score!
Here's Marian Hossa. He is not able to get this puck out of the zone. This ends up being the difference. It's kept in by Weidman. As you mentioned, Doc, it took a crazy bounce, and I think it was by accident, but he got his stick there, and then after that, the Capitals keep it alive, and the puck ends up in the back of the net.
And so you see who's in front of the net? Alexander Ovechkin. Jason Arnott playing on the left point as a right-hand shot. And the reason why that makes a difference, Arnott was so good there in New Jersey. When he first came here, they had him playing down low. Now they've got Ovechkin down low where he can dominate people, and the big shot of Arnott can make a huge difference, as we just saw. Well, so good coaching by Washington.
The importance of getting those clears, 200 feet, getting them out of the zone. Weidman keeps it alive after the failed clear by Hossa. And the Capitals capitalize on a power play late in the first.
Keith with a drive that was deflected away by Holtby. Another try, rattled around in front, and it is lifted out of play into the Caps bench area, but no penalty because of Matt Bradley's clear.
Well, that puck took a crazy bounce. It was off the blade and then off the skate, kept alive. Look at Arnott with the shot. Boy, nice and tight, short side, traffic in front of the net, like they're battling with Hjalmarsson. Go to those areas. It gives the defenseman and also the goaltender something to think about when those shots are coming from the back end.
Especially when you got a big body like Ovechkin and a big body like Blake who can get to the front of the net and make a difference with their skill level.
Semin and Weidman get the assists on the goal by Jason Arnott. So Arnott now in his 7th game has 5 points with these Capitals. Coming up in the Subway Intermission Report, in the wake of the Chara Pacioretty incident, what steps should the league take? Our guys will weigh in on that. Plus, the Blackhawks visited the White House on Friday, and Patrick Kane shot some behind-the-scenes footing. That's ahead on the Subway Intermission Report. Patrick Kane and Nabat use his footage here. Shot deflected wide, or Screen Actors Guild. He might be someday, but at any rate, this is on back to Campoli in the last 3. So the Caps lead after 1.
When the president's dropping your name a couple of times in a speech, I guess you can do whatever you want.
That's true. 20 minutes played. Shots 10-9 in favor of the Capitals. They lead 2-1. Stay tuned as Mike Milbury and Pierre Maguire bring you the Subway Intermission Report. That'll be coming up right after these messages. Welcome back to the NHL on NBC, presented by Progressive Insurance. Capitals 2, Blackhawks 1. Second period about to start. Miller Lite presents Taste Greatness. And this is since the All-Star break, the last weekend of January. The Blackhawks have won 11 of 18, and you see what Jonathan Toews has done. 28 points in that span. Alex Ovechkin, 22. The best teams point-wise since the All-Star break. Surprising New Jersey with 33, San Jose with 30 points, Vancouver 28, and surprising Toronto 27 points.
Huge win last night against the Buffalo Sabres.
Sabres finally get to go home after a prolonged road trip.
Leaf Nation is getting bigger by the day. More jumping on. Here's Hjalmarsson throwing one that careened out to center and is set up for Toews. Toews marches on through the legs pass over to Kane, denied by Karlsson, but he recovered and punched it further. Hjalmarsson got there and was taken to the glass.
And Holzer took a run at Kane after he chipped that puck behind the net.
Battle at the half boards, and Taves slithered it through. Sharp tried to play further, knifed away. Boy, Carlson makes a lot of strong plays, doesn't he?
Time and space, taking away any options when you have that puck. And if you sit back, players are too good in this league. I'm not talking about the highly skilled players, but all players, you give them time and space, they're going to make plays, but Carlson recognizes that.
These two guys in defense for Washington, especially Carlson and Alsner. Alsner was a first-round pick, as was Carlson. Carlson is a steal when you think about how late he was taken in the first round.
Yeah, you can't legislate smarts. You either have them or you don't, and the Caps have certainly shown that they have had.
George McPhee and Ross Mahoney and the scouting staff in Washington have done a fantastic job over the last 6 or 7 years.
And legislate salaries, but not smart. Chopped across, except for Pierre. That's not legislated. This is tipped ahead now, and going back for it is Nick Leddy. Has the only goal for the Caps in this game, and big number 8 able to take that one behind. Be 20 next Sunday, 20 years of age. Teenager goes back to handle this. Eden Prairie Eagles was his high school team. He was Mr. Hockey in Minnesota. Not many guys get that honor, but he did have it.
A younger brother coming up as well that plays there.
A force to the front by Chimera. Bouncer came ahead, and Brouwer is able to exit with a pass that came across to Pisani. Pisani the shot, and that one would not work the way he wanted, and it is thrown along by Eric Fair. Minnesota high school tournament is going on, as well as a lot of high school hockey tournaments across the country. Big news is Edina was knocked out. Here's a big shot that is turned right back again by Crawford.
And so you see how square he is in goal? Just so square, Braden Holtby in goal. That's why he looks so unflappable.
They're set for goaltending for a while here in Washington.
And they also have a chip in the game, huh, Doc and Edzo? They've got to have to move one of those 3 goalies.
Well, there's Gordon with a shot, and Crawford blocked that one with the pad. Racing back up ice with it is Ryan Johnson. Johnson sent one on goal, and that turned aside. Stepping to it is Johnson again. Tried for Leddy, but instead settled down at center and tipped right back to Leddy. Carried back on. Delay there by throw in front, and a bad angle tosses in, ricocheting off of Holtby by Kopetsky. Didn't look like he had much, but he had enough.
No, I think
the game's tied.
I'm sorry, Doug. I think he had a little bit more than we realized. Braden Holtby, I think, was anticipating a puck coming to the front of the net. I mean, he starts leaning down, and Kopetsky just fires this puck from a horrific angle. Never a bad play to just get it to the net. Oh, he left that post awfully really early.
Absolutely. Great eye, Edzo. And I think he was thinking that Ryan Johnson was going to be the beneficiary of that pass from the corner. But Holtby cheated off the right pole, and it's 2-2 because of that. Good job. Never a bad decision, as you said, to get it to the net.
13th of the year, and a stop made there by Crawford on Johansson.
Well, I think on that goal, and I'll just stop it right here. Usually the goaltender will hug that part of the post, and he just leaves it. He has his arm there, but he kind of lets his hip fall off of that, and that's what happens. It just hits him right off the backside into the back of the net, and I think he was anticipating more of a pass to the front than actually a shot on goal.
I agree. I think he thought that puck was going to Ryan Johnson.
Number 13 of the year for him, and it's unassisted. Icing. Inside the glass, here's Pierre.
Well, the one thing you always watch for is a game within the game. Edzo was talking about matchups, and for the Chicago Blackhawks, you really want to focus in on Ovechkin. You want to make sure that Brent Seabrook's out there as much as possible. And so far in this game, Brent Seabrook has done a fantastic job against Alexander Ovechkin. Keeping him to the outside and getting physical with him.
Well, he's on him right now as Ovechkin with a backhander that had to be turned aside by Crawford. Johansson spun it behind, Knuble with it there. Knuble pulled from one, reversed it, hoping for Ovechkin. It kicked back to him. He laid it back to the point. Carlson a shot, and that one directed away and out of play.
And here it is. You see Brent Seabrook coming in to close it on Ovechkin. Ovechkin through the legs, some skill. But again, he can't get a high-quality chance at zone, Doc, because of the job of establishing body position by Brent Seabrook. 2 times through the legs by Ovechkin. And Corey Crawford's there to shut it down because he knows there's no way that Ovechkin, the right-hand shot, can get to the front of the net because of Seabrook.
And a good defensive play by the Capitals allowed that chance. Right off the faceoff. It was a 1 faceoff for the Blackhawks, and the Capitals did a wonderful job of shutting it down, and they were able to turn the good defense into a good offensive opportunity.
The Blackhawks went the last 13 minutes and change of the first period with no scoring chances. And the Kopecky goal was their first of this period. Here's Bickle shooting one, and that one held, and it becomes another scoring chance there, and another save for Holtby.
Edzo, is it fair to say that Brian Bickle might be one of the more underappreciated shooters coming down the wing in the league, Edzo?
He is a real quick release. Not very often you see him take the big slap shot, the big roof tickler. Keeps it real tight, and it really seems to explode on goaltenders. And there was a good stop there by Holtby after giving up that bad goal to Thomas Kopecky, but he does have a real quick release. That allows him to get a lot of those creative chances.
Alexander Semin with Campoli back. Save made by Crawford.
What skill by Semin against Duncan Keith. Duncan Keith's not happy. He thought there should have been a penalty on the play, but Semin's competing as hard as I've ever seen him compete, Edzo. There you see Duncan Keith. He just can't match the pace of Alexander Semin. Semin looks to distribute the puck, but again, Corey Crawford square. Semin's trying to look him off, and he can't do it. It's a good job by Campoli coming across. And
to chip it by a flat-footed Duncan Keith, who really was in no-man land. He had no other choice because you're just playing his position. Semin chipped it by him, then he lifted up the stick. That was a good smart play there by Semin.
Right out in front, and the puck had to be turned over rather quickly, and so the Caps can bring it back ahead. They have Bear astray on the right wing, hoping to get it to him, but the trigger pull by Lyke was blocked off by Campoli. Carried right back out again. Troy Brouwer, one of 3 Ironmen on this Blackhawks team who've played in every game. He and Keith and Seabrook. There are 5 for Washington, including Alexander Ovechkin. That one shanked back in, and so Crawford will watch this. 4 years in the organization. Barely a start in the NHL, and now Crawford is the mainstay. As this is brought on by Leddy. Got it across. Oh, and Johnson could not get very deep with that. So it is controlled and thrown back out by Johansson up the wing for Ovechkin. Watched by Seabrook again. Oh, man. Save made by Crawford. Remarkably, he got something out of that. Seems to be okay as he drifts now back out to center ice. We're watching him near the bench. He's not coming off. Meanwhile, this is gotten by Johansson, and Johansson with nearly 6 minutes played in this second period and the game tied. Watch his play develop on for the punch back in that comes from Scott Hannon.
Edzo, how about that big body play by Seabrook against Ovechkin? That is a tough thing to do without taking a penalty.
What do? Watch a lot of tape on a guy when you're going to approach a superstar like this and you know you're going to be the guy that has to defend him. This time it's Keith on him. And offside is called. Not too many offsides on that tape you're watching. 2-2 midway second. The young man made a wish, and on Wednesday, Ryan Rowlandson attended the Caps practice with his family, met Alex Ovechkin. Later that night, he attended the game, rode the Zamboni. He got to meet the owner, Ted Leonsis, after the game, and got an Ovechkin game-used stick in the Caps locker room. Another wish granted by Alexander Ovechkin. As this is sent through, and Semin tried to find Arnott, who eventually got to that one. Jostled off, though, was Marco Sturm.
Ryan also got to see a 5-0 Washington win over Edmonton, and man, were they good in that game. They were fantastic. Semin, Ovechkin, Johansson, Arnott, the whole crew, the skill was very, very apparent that game.
Power play, very effective that night, surrounded by donuts in other games until today, when Jason Arnott connected late in the first period for Washington.
They had 4 in their last 29 on the power play until this afternoon. Their 5th power play goal on 30 chances. You're bang on, Doc.
5 men going after it with Shillelagh. Thrown to the front, but it's knocked. Well, it's that weak, isn't it? Here's Hossa turning to the outside. Hossa fed one across, knifed down by Leddy. Dropped it back on for Bickle.
There's a defenseman down low, Doc, something we talked about in the first intermission. Defenseman getting really active. Leddy was below the faceoff dots there when Hossa walked up those the boards. A good job there by Michael Frolik on those boards to pinch off Alexander Semin, just getting the puck to net, nobody in front, and an easy save there for Braden Holtby.
Michael Frolik comes out of Kladno in the Czech Republic, the same hometown that gave us Jaromir Jagr. And for the longest time, Michael Frolik was called Baby Jagr.
Drilled back off the back of the cage. There were some that I guess called him that way, complained about calls, right?
Some, but you would have wanted Jaromir Jagr on your team in his prime.
Yeah, you sure would. You want him on your power play today. Meanwhile, this is taken along by Erskine.
You think about Jagr's first 2 years in the league as an 18 and 19-year-old, back-to-back Stanley Cups. He's playing with a great Mario Lemieux and Ryan Gauthier, Ronnie Francis. That's a pretty good cast of characters to break into the league with.
Pretty good supporting cast.
Carried back ahead by Keith, got it on to Stahlberg. Stahlberg drips around behind and looks over his option. Kopecky was not one of them, and he was taken down. And we get a stoppage of play and a penalty call for that. The call is a hook, and the Blackhawks will have a chance to break this tie on the power play.
Well, speed through the middle of the ice, and then Victor Stahlberg goes hard to the net and ends up being on Boyd Gordon. You see the penalty here. See him kick the legs out from Thomas Kopecky. He takes his right skate and just kicks out the legs.
Enzo, I don't know what he's incredulous about. That's a penalty. I mean, it's not just a stick parallel, as you said. It's the right leg coming through on the backside of Thomas Kopecky. Watch 15 in red. There's a stick parallel, and there's the right leg hauling him down. That's a penalty in anyone's league.
That's a dangerous play.
It really is.
No chance for Kopecky to protect himself if he hits the ice.
Bud Light power play is on. Here we go. Swung to the front, pinballed off a skate. Cannot be cleared, but stickless is Seabrook. And then eventually it's sent back down.
The animosity level starting to pick up in this game right now at ice level. You can feel it between both benches. No more Sunday afternoon, Mr. Nice Guy.
Well, Bruce Boudreau said a lot of times when you haven't seen a team all year, it takes a little while for you to learn things and also to learn who you don't like. Here is Sharp up with it, dealing it back in. Along by Alsner, rubbed on back and outlet it now for Johansson. Picks up a man up the wing. It's Carlson. Johansson threw it to him. Oh, and a good defensive play by Seabrook. And now Likert shot stopped by Crawford. Back the other way. Might be an odd man rush out of this. Kane brings it ahead. He's got Taves with him, but Carlson got back. Why am I not surprised? Here's Kane holding to the outside now and just settling it down with a pass to Keith. Keith with a shot. And that one ricocheted all of Holtby as he tried to clutch it. And it is pumped up high and out of play. And they rule a deflection and no penalty.
Well, a 3-on-1, 3-on-2 situation, and it all happens because of the play by Brent Seabrook. Stop it here. He goes this direction, and the Washington Capitals going back the other way. They got numbers. It's a 2-on-1 into a 3-on-2. Patience. Hold, 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 and a John Carlson defenseman jumping in. Brooks Lake is there. Great pass originally by Marcus Johansson, but Carlson jumping into the play.
He's something special. This John Carlson's something else. You think about all the great American defensemen that come along, and Phil Housley, Brian Leach, Chris Chelios. There's a potpourri of them. This kid's going to be in the equation at some point. The same conversation. He's that good.
This one pumped back ahead. Kopecky reaching for that. But it is corralled and started back up by the Caps, and drifting off and then laying it gently along is Dennis Wideman. Carlson played for the USHL Indianapolis Ice, also junior hockey for the New Jersey Rockets. This is Kopecky taking this and jamming it around behind. McCutcheon, New Jersey High School. This is wedged right back away from Matt Hendricks, and a little bit of an adventure there, but it came back up to Hossa, so no problem to Corey Crawford.
Campbell made a good play there. He knew he had two Capitals coming right on him, so instead of just trying to beat the puck, he moved it all the way back to allow his goaltender to help him out a little bit.
Ever-present sticks, and right out of the penalty box to take the glove pass. This time is Gordon. Worked on enough by Hjalmarsson that he had to get help, and did from Chimera, who's buried a little bit by Frolik. Fed up the board, settle down, drive, save, rebound, popped up in the air off of Crawford. The initial shot from Alsner. This is taken by Semin. Tried back in front. Alsner shot, and Crawford has it underneath him as he keels over backward. Strong goaltending here keeps it tied. The NHL and NBC Game of the Week presented by Progressive Insurance.
Welcome back to Washington. 2-2. Is the animosity level getting to the point where you like it?
Well, it's a pretty good pace. I think we lose our energy on our power play. They're pressuring us, and we're losing puck possession. We're outmanaging us in the puck area. We got to be better there. We got to get ourselves back here in the game here by playing 5-on-5.
We see your defense starting to jump in more on the cycle. Is that part of the game plan to break down their in-zone coverage?
Yeah, I thought in the first period we stood around too much with our D. We need them active out of our zone, even in the offensive zone. But we're a much better team when they're a part of that.
Thanks, Joel.
All right.
Well, we'll see if when they get another power play opportunity, what will take place based on what he just said.
Yeah, and I think the biggest key is he's talking about pressure. Well, if a team's going to pressure you like the Capitals are doing the Blackhawks right now, you have to change sides. You can't be stuck on the same side. Force that team to go from one board to the other. So if they're in a pressure mode, you got to move them from one side to the other, and eventually they're going to have to just settle in, and they won't be as aggressive if you keep the puck on one side of the ice.
Okay, you see what they're doing now, watching Arnott at center between Semin and Ovechkin, trying to break down the matchup. No Johansson, no Knuble. So Bruce Boudreau now trying to break down the matchup a little bit for the Washington Capitals.
Good catch there, Pierre, as Hjalmarsson is able to step ahead with this one, going for the long pass that instead of a home run was at least a ground rule double as they acquiesce, and there's a shift change on. So maybe that was the reason for the long pass. But at any rate, this is handed across now for Campoli, who gives on to Duncan Keith. Flung on across and pumped on by Campoli. Blackhawks have gotten the change they wanted. Weidman with a little trouble there, and it's crossed further by Johnson. Puck's good to head, taken on by Kopecky. He might as well shoot. He did pretty well the last time. Not a lot of scoring chances in the game. The Capitals have 10 of them.
I don't imagine next time Kopecky gets the puck in the offensive zone, Braden Holtby's going to be a little bit more square than he was on that goal by Kopecky from the nasty angle.
Joe, are you surprised that Kopecky's playing so deep in the lineup for Chicago and maybe not getting more minutes?
You know what, Pierre? He plays really important minutes. He plays on a #1 power play unit, but I mean, he is on the fourth line. He has been over the course of the last little while. I think he's perfectly slotted into the situation that Joel Quenneville's been playing him as of late.
Kopecky drifts to the outside with this and then floated it back. Sharp could not stop that one. Knifed away from Taves, but it came back to Leddy. Leddy and Kopecky, the goal scorers for Chicago, sandwiched around a shorthander by Boyd Gordon and a power play goal by Jason Arnott in a 2-2 tie. We are in the second period of this deadlock. Since the All-Star break, 25 to 30% of the games played have been three-pointers. If it winds up being tied in the last few minutes, you sense that the teams will try to at least make sure they get the point. Doesn't mean that you don't pass up something really good, and that might be here as Ovechkin threw one that was directed wide.
He's looking for Johansson, a little give and go.
Now he's back with Johansson and Knuble. So Bruce Boudreau trying to get Ovechkin a little bit more ice.
This is Knuble shooting one that's waffle boarded away by Crawford. Luck back up the wing. Bauer's shot deflected away. Bauer tried to knife it further, but it is sailed on back where the one-time keep by Keith was directed wide by Brouwer. Jake Dowell. Ricocheted, though, for the take by Ovechkin. It's flown back ahead and settled down by Johansson, but a nice denial on him by Chris Campoli. That's an experienced addition to the Blackhawks defense corps.
Yeah, it is. And I haven't seen Brian Campbell. He missed the last game in Tampa Bay. I haven't seen a lot of him in the second period.
He's sitting right next to me, just on the other side of the glass, and you're 100% right on him.
Really rotating 5 defensemen right now.
Most of the time when Campbell's been getting minutes, been on the power play, and there hasn't been a lot of that.
This is played ahead now for Arnott. Shooting one that's turned aside by Crawford. Carried back up by Michael Frolik. 3 back for the Capitals. Frolik with a pass on to Bickle. Bickle tried to thread one in front that was blocked aside by Erskine and lifted back out by a teammate.
There'll be one too many passes there for Bickle. Within 12 feet of that net, you got to fire that puck to the net. He's looking for Hossa after Frolik did a nice job of entering the zone with speed.
Especially him with that release he has and the velocity on the shot.
We remember the Pittsburgh game a couple of weeks ago in Chicago where one of those from 60 feet went in. Brought ahead now by Semin. Semin and shot. Oh, it's spiked wide by Chimera. Tries to center, but that won't work. Keith trickled it along. Stahlberg steps to that one. Took the hit, but got it onto Kopecky. Moving back up with Johnson as that one's blocked aside by Holtby. Johnson shoveled it around behind. Kopecky right out in front. Save made by Holtby. Another try, and that one went wide. Twisted behind, and Schultz has it there, and a penalty is coming up. Going to be against Chicago. Delayed call on. Fair through one. It bounced into Crawford, and a power play to result. Kopecky on the score sheet, now on the penalty sheet.
Well, it's going to be a boarding call on Thomas Kopecky as he enters the zone. Dennis Wideman. First of all, look where Thomas Kopecky's stick is. I have no idea why he's carrying his stick up like that, but the push from behind, no chance for Dennis Wideman to protect himself. Definitely the right call made by the referees.
Power play has been good today for the Caps in its earlier opportunity. Power play sponsored by Dick's Sporting Goods. And it is cleared back down by a stick that you could get at Dick's. But it would probably have a famous autograph on it.
Blackhawks penalty.
Seabrook clearing, and this is started back around now by Dennis Wideman. Wideman has been used on the power play every place he's played, and for good reason. Quite a skill set, good shot. Meanwhile, this is battled around and turned on by Light. Wideman able to hold this one in and just pirouette and hand it across to Jason Arnott. Arnott slugged it on further. Was away from Keith, tapped by Light, given by Ovechkin across and sent quickly on back to Wideman, then across to Arnott. Arnott's shot is deflected up high by Keith, and it popped out of play.
Edzo, Brian Burke, the president and general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs, is going to the GM meetings this week that start today down in Boca Raton. He wants to come up with the Brian Burke bear hug rule, where Kopecky could put a stick on the ice, have his free hand wrap around, and lessen the blow on Dennis Wideman. I think that's one of the ways they really have to go. And Edzo, that's the way the rule was when you played, and it worked a lot. It protected a lot of players.
This is Arnott yet again. Delays. Leads it ahead to Semin. Semin dealt it to the side. Little return for him, and it wouldn't go as Light set him up nicely. Semin again to the back, and Arnott could not keep that one. Now this GM's meeting is going to be all business unless you think that they look out at the ocean and twirl the parasols in their drinks. That's not what these guys do. They're going to be busy for 3 days. A lot of important things to discuss. And the Board of Governors, of course, are the ones that ultimately rule on a lot of these things. But hot topics, as Mike was saying, here's a shot that's waffle-boarded right back on the try by Fair. From Crawford, Fair again dished that one across. Lazily it came back over for Arnott, who shot one that's kicked aside by Chalmerson, taken by Fair. Fair able to lay it around to the outside again. It is Alexander Semin, hawked there by Campoli. Nearly worked the reach of Jonathan Toews, but Caps maintain possession into the last 10 of this power play. 2:40 to go, second period, 2-2 tie. Wideman, nice shuttle on across for a shot by Semin that's wide. Another try is kneed away to the corner by Chalmerson. Alongside Eddie Olczyk, who undoubtedly is thinking, hit the net with the shot, because that's what he always says, but didn't that time.
He did it when he played, I know that. He practiced what he preached.
Kopecký's try was blocked off.
A couple of real good looks there for the Caps on their power play.
Gliding around is Hendricks right out in front, and the puck rolled off his stick and can be filtered on by Frolik. Back for the outlet pass that the Blackhawks are able to at least get started with the toss out by Keith. Rubbed right back in by Boyd Gordon. 8th year in the organization for this guy who had a shorthanded goal early in the game to tie it at 1. Arnott broke the tie late in the first period on a power play. Kopecky struck from a bad angle shot here early in the second, and that's where we've been since at 2-2. Leddy after this one. Little head fake there and a shoulder fake too. But more players had to come in to help as Alzner kept it. Around then to Mike Knuble, then shuttled on for Johansson's try that careened on back to Alzner. His shot over the glove of Crawford. battled for. Taken along by Johansson. Crawford is just now spinning and getting set as this one careened to the corner. Sharp there and Carlson. And Sharp able to come up with that and lay it off the short glass and on out to center where Kane is able to step away from the reach of Ovechkin. Kane crosses now, looks and shoots one. Blocked high by Holtby. To the final minute of a rather eventful second period. A lot of scoring in the game, but there have been some close calls here, particularly lately. Brought on now by Brouwer. Brouwer gave it back to Chalmerson. His shot stopped by Holtby. Flushed back along for the carry back out by Bear. Led one further and driving along is Chimera. Chimera right in front. Shot one off the outside of the cage and then bowled into the goaltender. He is just now getting back up in front and the puck came near him and had to be cleared away by the defense.
No stick for Crawford.
And the Chicago bench is livid at the officials for no call on Chimera running into Crawford. And now we got Seabrook and Chimera ready to go behind the play. Chimera and Seabrook, that's because of the collision with Crawford.
Loads of effort, some balance, and fives apiece.
Edzo and Doc, you could sense the adrenaline in this game was starting to change. And Seabrook goes after Chimera because of the collision he had earlier in the sequence against the goaltender Corey Crawford.
Yeah, Jason Chimera came busting down the right wing boards and took the puck hard to the net and created a great chance. I believe it went off the crossbar, and there you see Joel Quenneville talking to referee Dave Jackson. We mentioned that Brian Campbell not playing a lot, so Joel Quenneville down to really 5 defensemen. Now with Brent Seabrook off the ice for the next 5 minutes. Somebody's going to have to do the job against Alexander Ovechkin to start that third period at even strength. And here's Chimera taking the puck hard to the net. And there you see Corey Crawford throws his stick and falls back into the net. Yeah, there you see the right elbow of Chimera.
And that's what led to everything. But again, you could sense this coming. You could just feel it between the two benches as this period started to move along. And for Dave Jackson and Ian Walsh, the officials, they're going to have to start managing this thing. Chimera's fearless on Edzo when he drives to the net, and he's not intimidated by whether it's Chalmerson or Seabrook, and he runs right into Corey Crawford, and he got away with one right here.
Yeah, he did not push. He was not pushed at all.
Nope, he got away with one right there.
So Joel Quenneville has argued for the next one already. 19 seconds to go in the second. Major penalties on the fight. Ooh, spike just wide of the cage. Off the face-off win by the Blackhawks. Kicked on out where Scott Hannon gets some help. And as Weidman twirls behind in the last 7. Crawford more conventional. They shove this one along to the half boards as the horn sounds. So they played 40. There have been 45 shots. 24 for the Caps, 21 for the Blackhawks. They part peaceably for now. Coming up in the Discover Intermission Report, Mike's hat trick and Pierre's one-timer focuses on the playoff outlook, plus a conversation with the Capitals' young star defenseman, John Carlson. That's ahead on the Discover Intermission Report. In that period, the Capitals had 14 shots. The Blackhawks had 12. Kopetsky and Leddy for Chicago. Gordon and Arnott for Washington. And the goaltenders, Crawford and Holtby, have been just fine, thank you. The Intermission Report follows. Pretty honest hockey game. Abe Lincoln would approve. 2-2 at the end of 2. No carryover power plays. 2 carryover penalties, fighting majors to Brent Seabrook and Jason Chimera. And we begin period number 3.
And with Seabrook in the box now, it looks like it's going to be a combination of 4 defensemen for Joe Quenneville to try to get that matchup. He's going to start with Campoli and Hjalmarsson against Ovechkin.
Oh, great stop made there by Crawford on an attempt by Johansson and brought back up by Sharp. Patrick Kane has 1 scoring chance today. It's been rather quiet for him compared to most times. Laid back along now for a little lift back to center by Mike Knuble and grabbed off. So Kane spins and drops it off. Early stages of the 3rd period here in Washington. 4 other NHL games later on today. Centering pass in front, and it's tucked off of the defenseman Carlson. Knife back up the boards and held by Leddy. Ladled on by Kane, but stepping to this now is Semin. Knifed off his stick and thrown right in front, where another stop has to be made by Holtby. So the Caps can start it back up. Every game being played the rest of the way seems to have consequence in the standings, including this one for Chicago. They are only 1 away from Dallas for the 4th spot as that try by Semin went off a skate. And Dallas, of course, to add to the confusion, will play later on today against Los Angeles. Side of the net that went through for O'Leary.
And so there's that passing up on the shot again by Bickle.
The big man overskated, but a shot shoveled toward the net by Hossa and stopped by Holtby. No shyness about Hossa around the front of the net as Hjalmarsson is able to bring this ahead and whip it back in. Holtby inside the trapezoid. Backhands one through some traffic, and around it goes for Eric Fair. Helped on back behind by Dennis Wideman.
Yeah, trying to be too cute there, Pierre. Again, Brian Bickle, same guy we talked about late in that 2nd period.
White tried to burrow his way in front, could not. Jake Dowell able to shake a nice pass ahead, and it's brought back in by Troy Brouwer. He's got a man breaking, throws one that was wide and off the glass to be taken further by Brooks Light. Skittered on back to center and driving after it, Matt Hendricks. Hendricks, the hit leader through 2 periods with 4 of them in the first 40 minutes. Back across it comes for Stahlberg to bunt back in, and it is turned into some traffic by John Erskine, but helped came from Scott Anderson. It's not often 2 of your bash and crash guys are matched up together in a defense pair, but that's the case with 4 and 23 in the red, and a hit comes from Ovechkin. Ryan Johnson had to send it on back, so they get reorganized with 2:45 gone off the clock here at the start of the 3rd period. Erskine holding there. Washington has only 1 team ahead of it in the Eastern Conference. Philadelphia idle today, 3 points ahead. Trigger pull there by Taves is blocked down by the defense. Taken to the outside by Kane.
All off a bad turnover by Johansson of the Capitals.
This is Sharp up with it. Gives it along to Taves. Over for Kane, and the shot ricocheted off the post and a leg perhaps. But anyway, it is thrown back out, and Kane with it again. Around behind for Taves. Fed one in front that's gathered in but left behind, and Kane a backhander that's turned aside by Johansson, and he can start back the other way. He's got Ovechkin trailing up that left wing, but the Blackhawks with 4 guys back. And one of them, Hjalmarsson, without a stick, takes it, and then a booming hit that came from Matt Bradley. Okay is Campoli, it seems, as he comes to the bench for a routine change of lines. Meanwhile, the Caps bring it on. Carlson connected back up the wing. Boyd Garden able to throw one on goal that's covered by Crawford, and play is stopped inside the glass. Pierre.
Well, I think the big thing when you look at it from the Washington Capitals point of view is they want to be physical. Everybody knows they were a 1 seed that lost to an 8 seed last year. So one of the things you want to do, get aggressive. Matt Bradley in the 3rd period identifies the fact they're down defensemen, so he rocks Chris Campoli's world with a clean, hard physical play. Edzo, they want to be a tougher team to play against. Guys like Matt Bradley make them tough to play against in Washington.
Yeah, good role player. And that knows his role, and role player has to do 2 things, accept and execute, and Matt Bradley is one of those guys.
Potential to be an unrestricted free agent at the end of the year. There'll be a marketplace for a player like that. He's a no-maintenance player that loves to play and understands his role, as you said, Edzo.
And you can't keep them all.
Nope. You know, in Washington's case, though, they got so many young ones coming. They might have to lose some of the old ones.
They have a wonderful goaltending problem, don't they? As Bruce Boudreau pointed out to you, they're all young. In their early 20s, they've all gotten shutouts this year, and they're good. No goal bricks in the bunch. They're just rolling along, and whoever gets in there can do a tremendous job for them.
And they're well coached by David Pryor, who works with the prospects, and Artur Zerbe, who works with the NHL goalies. They got it all going on here right now.
5 minutes played, third period. 2 shots for the Capitals this period and 3 for Chicago. Get the idea, there's not going to be a lot of open ice here. Defense are going to cover up pretty well. Brouwer tried to skip one through. It was blocked by one and shut off by another. And a stick lost for Schultz, and a shot that came from the point by Campoli, and right on goal for the stop by Holtby. Held around behind. Pisani breaks to the front of the net. Worked on back, though, carefully by Johansson. Kept alive by Campoli. Popped on. Glove down, and Johansson is boomed into. Puck kicked back to center. Pisani took it there.
Not a lot of room in the middle of the ice. The area between the 2 blue lines. It is just chip and chase, and it's going to be who's that team is going to try to take a chance in the middle and give up an odd man the other way.
Fair brings it ahead. Teams in the league are learning. You just check solidly, and that can lead to a lot of good results. The only checking that you don't get to do is in the shootout. Shot by Johnson, deflected wide. Rebound, and a good shut off there by Scott Hannon. Very effective defenseman for these Caps, as it's taken on back by Nick Leddy.
Nice composure play by Leddy to Stallberg.
Brooks Laich marches back. Watched by Leddy. Just carried off. Meanwhile, behind, Eric Fair trying to reach it there. Centering pass in front. Leddy scores!
Well, this play is made by Brooks Laich, but I want everybody to watch his head. Watch his head. He looks back to the point. So Chicago thinks maybe he's going to throw it back to the point. What does he do? He throws it in behind the net, and who scores the goal but Brooks Laich?
It's all about scoring playoff-type goals. Brooks Laich makes the right play, as though you're bang on, but it's winning one-on-one battles along the wall. And that's exactly what the Washington Capitals do, and that's why Brooks Laich gets his 15th goal of the year. That's the kind of goal they want to be known for, rather than being known for those fancy goals. Eric Fair did a great job with board play to get that puck out front to Brooks Laich.
And when you're going for pucks, you got to know what your options are. So instead of getting to the puck and then looking, it's the reverse. Look before you get to the puck. Know what your options are. And the one thing I love what Laich does is after he chips the puck in behind, where does he go? He goes to the most dangerous area, the most productive area on the ice. That's the front of the net, the middle of the ice. And he's rewarded because he made 2 really good plays.
Patrick Sharp tried to finesse by, could not. Jason Arnott trickled it on, and it is Semin reversing. The orange, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Doc, sorry.
It is Seabrook laying it on back. The origins of this sport are rural Canada, and Eric Fair fed in front for the goal that was scored by Brooks Laich. Backhander in front, nicely spiked away by Holtby. Fair is from a 9,900 population town of Winkler, Manitoba, and Laich from a 591. Wawota, Saskatchewan. Corey Crawford came up with a strong stop there. Nice on back and left, but it can be shoved on back for a little better control by Seabrook, who has served his major penalty, as has Chimera. Stoppage of play. 12:23 to go, third period. Capitals 3 and the Blackhawks 2. Let's take a look at the Ford Drive 1 update. Clean up in aisle 6, Mr. O.
Hossa to Nick Leddy, Minnesota native. 1-0 lead, and then shorthanded. Boyd Gordon, his third. 1-1. Capitals late in the first. Jason Arnott on the power play, his 15th. And then Thomas Kopetsky, his 13th from a terrible angle. Good things happen when you get the puck to the net. And then Eric Fair to Brooks Laich, his 15th. 3-2 here in the third.
Matt Hendricks got the other assist on the Laich goal. So here is Crawford, who has made some strong stops again today in his 14th consecutive start for these Blackhawks. Seeing Hendricks lay it to the back. Big opening drive by Hannon. Save made by Crawford, and the rebound fidgeted off of him by Matt Bradley.
What a second stop there. Matt Bradley stopping in front of the net, not able to elevate that puck. What a stop. Remember that stop by Corey Crawford.
Oh, man, Edzo, great eye by you. That is a spectacular save to keep Chicago in the game by Corey Crawford.
There's 10 in red. Matt Bradley. The puck goes back to the point. Lots of room there for Scott Hannon. Look where Matt Bradley goes. Stops and then just reaches, and he just kicks his left pad out. His puck was on edge a little bit. And in Matt Bradley's defense, see how he's moving away from that puck? If he comes to a complete stop, he's able to either maybe push the puck ahead and then put it into the empty net. But since he was falling away, he didn't get a lot on it. Wasn't to get elevation, but that was a terrific stop there by Crawford.
Whiteman, a shot sticked aside by Crawford. Boy, it's wonderful to see all of those angles. You can really appreciate the art of a goaltender when it's from that down low place. And we appreciate all the guys that got here at 4:30 and 5:30 this morning on our setup crew to do it for us. And it sure paid off there. That's why we buy that big urn of coffee. Here is working to the outside. Mike Knuble, run off by Hjalmarsson. Got it on back to Weidman, thrown to the front, but it is Hjalmarsson yet again, able to punch it out to center before he was run to the boards and glass.
Edzo and Doc, do you not agree this is a different Washington Capitals team from a year ago?
Yeah.
These guys are harder, they're better defensively, and they know how to defend the lead.
Well, they were always criticized for poor defensive playoff time, weren't they? And they can't show us their playoff performance for another 4 weeks yet. But this is a pretty good indication of what they can do. They're 4th best in the league in team defense. The Blackhawks are at 13, middle of the pack.
I'm doing it without Mike Green.
Tom
last little while.
Cody's 26th game and Green's 8th, hit by a slap shot. You'll remember that here if you're a regular watcher of our shows. My goodness, it was scary.
And then a hit from Derek Stepan of the New York Rangers kind of really shook him up.
Icing called. 10:29 left in the third. 3-2. Capitals have the lead. Tomorrow night, our gang goes to Chicago to United Center. Versus will bring you these same Blackhawks against the San Jose Sharks. The Sharks with 86 points lead their division. Sharks Blackhawks tomorrow night, 7:30 Eastern. The drive to the playoffs lives on Versus.
Is Mrs. Olchek making any food for us, Edzo?
Let's see. Would that be my mother or my wife? Yes and yes.
Yes.
Centering pass in front, and that one is shanked. Reverse back around yet again by Marco Sturm. Given on back to Jeff Schultz. Could not be stopped by Arnott. Taken to the outside, though, by Simmons. Rifles it on back for a shot by Weidman that's booted right back out again.
Good play there by Duncan Keith.
Keith now with the challenge on Jason Arnott. Campoli tries to get some help. It's kicked along, though. Nudged on by Kane, but regathered and thrown back across again by Sturm. Led over, away from Semin, fed to the back, and a shot by Schultz is deflected, and then Semin is able to work to the outside, watched tightly there by Keith. Jake Dowell is without a stick. The feed for Arnott, and that one is flexed right back out again, and another try. Dowell is still powerless. The puck comes to him, and he handballs it along and gets it to the safety of center. Young man out of the University of Wisconsin comes to the bench now for a change. 9:10 left in the third. Capitals have the lead by 1. Crawford up with this, right up the middle of the ice. He passed it. Advance back ahead to Hossa. Breaking to the front is Frolik, and the shot by Hossa was wide. Leddy able to keep it along. Frolik up with it there. Through one. That's paddled away by Holtby. Holtby has not been challenged a lot here in the second half of the game thus far. Gordon able to play it along. Hannon had trouble clearing. Frolik with one that ricocheted in front. Just like a jumping beam, then lifted along and off of Leddy. Leddy able to keep it alive. Nice move by him, but quick turnovers of possession by these teams, and it swung right back in where Crawford can stop behind. Spun it along, and Matt Hendricks got there at the same time Leddy did. Help came from Patrick Kane. And Kane able to slip one that Knuble drove wide.
You got to think that the Blackhawk defense is wearing down. They're only playing with 5 defensemen. Brian Campbell dressed. He's only had 8 shifts in this game.
Here's Taves moving, and a backhander is sealed up by Holtby. And it has it this time that they have to be even more involved offensively, as you pointed out. 3-2 Caps. Thursday, before their ceremony Friday at Walter Reed Army Hospital, the Chicago Blackhawks stopped by. Got a chance to chat with some of the people who watched them on television this afternoon from that hospital.
You saw Team President John McDonough presenting a jersey along with Captain Jonathan Taves.
This is Ovechkin wheeling around behind and wiping out. Back to his feet as Kane lays it on a cross, and Patrick Sharp brings it further. Denied at the line. Really strong reach there. Walked back in again by Levy.
Carlson again.
He's something else. That's all you know about the U.S. defenders. He's going to be one of the special ones.
Ovechkin's got a man up the wing. It's Johansson. Twirls. Moves to the front. Backhander is kicked aside. Loose in front. On a great save made by Crawford on Johansson, who's hunched over and can't believe it didn't go in the net.
Well, the speed of Alexander Ovechkin and the strength allows him to create this chance. Now, Patrick Kane does an outstanding job of working hard, but the quick stop, the block shot, and then Johansson with 2 really good chances. But the angle that Patrick Kane, he wasn't anticipating Ovechkin to stop at all, and the Capitals come awfully close.
That's Patrick Kane's move. Ovechkin just caned Kane.
He was able, thrown off now by Schultz, and around behind taken by Chimera. Johansson with 6 scoring chances, and his team tries to develop another one here. A 2-goal lead would be enormous the way this game has been played. Chimera right to the front, save made by Crawford again, and this time he is able to handle it conventionally without being put on his backside. Whiteman, Chimera's smart though. He knows he won't get away with 2 in a row. And he charges after this one, and Seabrook is there to just calmly wand it around behind so that Campoli can start it ahead. The iron 4 among defensemen for these Blackhawks now. Campbell has not played since 10:48 of the second period. So well over a period of playing time that he's not been out there.
I think that last shift was that play he made when he was in the neutral zone. He was falling down. He got the puck back.
Seven trying to get to the front, and Levy all over him to prevent it, and all of that hard work results in success for the Blackhawks. At least they get out of harm's way, lay it down for an icing touch-up, and a face-off will be back near Corey Crawford.
Maybe a timeout here for Joel Quenneville. This is a long shift for Hjalmarsson and Leddy. We talked about Nick Leddy. Wait, and Alexander Semin just kind of waited a little bit too long as he got that puck to the front of the net. And there you see Hossa at the end of a long shift, tries to softly get the puck down, but you see the reaction from Semin to get the puck to the middle of the ice.
Only Verizon gives you more hockey than ever before with the NHL Game Center live app. Text NHL to 8603 to download now. That timeout that you predicted has been called.
Well, timeout called by Joel Quenneville. Alexander Semin's playing as well as I've ever seen him play in the NHL, Doc, and heads up, because he's competing. He's going to the hard areas. He's utilizing his skills. He's getting pucks on goal. You see the emotion of missing the net. Semin has made a huge difference for this team. And I don't know what Ovechkin has said to him. I don't know what George McPhee has said to him. I don't know what the Capitals have said to him. But this guy's a different player this year.
Well, George speaks English. So you just weren't allowed in the room at the time the conversation took place, and I don't know if you know Russian, Pierre, but whatever it is, it certainly worked pretty well. He has 25 goals for them, and strangely, every one of his goals have come in Capital wins. So this is controlled in some tight traffic, and Hjalmarsson fed it on back. Shift change again for Chicago. Under 6 minutes to go. 2 points up for grabs, perhaps 3. About 1 out of every 4 games has that. As a save is made on Kane by Holtby, and it's taken along by Scott Hannon, who delays, but gave it up to Duncan Keith. Spiked it around behind again. Erskine tries the other way. That's in Kane territory. Drubbed on back further to the front, and Hannon is able to angle one back out that Seabrook can read. Shift change now for the Capitals again. It's fed on back to Kane. Delays to the outside and then fed one across. That's bunted down by Seabrook. Chased down by Knuble, but he's gotten it around behind and then roughed up a bit as Taves. That's a good defensive play made on him by John Erskine.
Joel Quenneville getting Bickle on the line with Kane and Taves to try to penetrate to the slot. A bigger body presence than Patrick Sharp's, and probably also there's some balanced offense for the Hawks.
6'4", 223. That's a big body as it's thrown across now by Ovechkin. Long toss ahead to Mike Knuble. Ovechkin is back at the other end down, but seems to be okay as he's moving back up into this play. I'm not sure what happened well behind the play, but it drew a reaction from the fans.
Taves knocked him right down. Taves was frustrated.
Star against star there as this is led back out now and pitched in by Kopecky. Dennis Wideman has it there.
Nice patience there. It looked like he was going to go around the boards. That's where Stahlberg went, and he held onto that puck. Made the perfect tape-to-tape, stick-to-stick pass.
Eric Fair saw that one squib on back to Schultz. Schultz with a shot that went wide. Hacked away by Campoli, taken by Fair. Campoli up with it again. That one shrugged right back out again on Fair's try. By Corey Crawford, nudged behind now for Leddy. 6 times he has been called up from Rockford of the American Hockey League, and he looks like a keeper this time. Leddy able to worm his way around behind the net now and take over as we're down to the last 4 minutes of regulation time. The deficit for Chicago is 1. Thrown back in by Leddy off the back of the cage, and it's Wideman. That one out of play. 3:50 left. Yeah, the big guys come together. 3-2 Caps.
Starting today, we are on the path toward winning.
How'd you like to be in this? What a cluster. 82 Dallas. 4 teams with 81, and some of them are playing today. Then 1 out, then 2 out, and then 4 out, and 4 weeks to go.
Talk about that game tomorrow night on versus Chicago and San Jose, and then Chicago goes back on the road at Dallas, at Phoenix. Talk about a huge week. Every game, every period, this is a huge week for the Blackhawks.
Cluster of teams there. The same is true in the Eastern Conference. And it's going to be that way right to the end.
Sharp back with Taves and Kane.
Let's see if it makes a difference with 3:20 to go. Some trouble in their own end. Boyd Gordon pretty sure-handed there for the Capitals. Has Semin nearby and plays it along to him. Ridden off enough by Leddy that the Caps can take over. Guided on across, and Kane could not get by Carl Alsner.
Edzo, don't you think, and Doc, this is the difference from Washington from a year ago? Now structure in the neutral zone. They make it a quiet fire to try to skate through.
Yeah, they're going to err on the side of caution instead of the aggression.
Right out in front. Oh, and what a save made by Holtby. Oh, great opportunity came up for him. And knifed on out to center. You wouldn't want to handpick anybody other than the top line. Other than a guy like Frolik, who has the sure hands, or Marian Hossa. Well, it was Frolik who knows he had a great chance that was denied, and he's tapping his stick on the ice. He wants that puck back again. That thrown toward the net, and Holtby with a little more conservative of a block than he was forced into just a moment ago by Frolik. To the last 2 1/4 of regulation time. Reversed along by Scott Hannon. Campoli shoulders with his man. Taken to the outside and lifted along by Brouwer. Popped on back, and Brouwer a second effort and a third. And eventually sealed up was Hossa as he was battling for that puck. It's a lot of work, and the Blackhawks walk away with it. And just that quickly, it was poked away, but illegally. And so with 1:50 left in regulation, the Blackhawks will have a man advantage.
Well, the great work by Marian Hossa. There you see the stick of Marcus Johansson. But right before this chance, Dennis Wideman's going behind the net. Now stop it right here. He knows he has pressure coming in this direction. But instead of going around the boards, he tries to put this puck past Troy Brouwer. It goes off his skate right to Michael Frolik. And what a stop there by Braden Holtby. Talked about the patience of Wideman. On that situation, you're better off to just go pound it right around the boards to bypass the forecheck.
Well, you complimented him earlier on a similar play that he made. He delayed, and that took a lot of heat off. This put pressure on as we're down to 100 seconds, but a power play on, and already to the bench is Crawford. A goalie in 4 against 6 attackers. Drubbed by Carlson off a stick and back down, and Keith will go to get it. Advanced ahead for the carry-on by Patrick Kane. Shoved it across Kopecky, then to Kane. Little pass in front was away from Taves. Chopped on by Knuble, but not out. Spike to center, controlled by Kopecky with 1:10 to go. Back across to Marian Hossa. Led it on to Kane, and it was over the line, and so offside.
Remember, Chicago used... And a quick little poke check right there put the Hawks offside.
To the last minute. Again to the bench comes Crawford. Hossa comes from the bench to join in the play. Thrown past Kane. Kept alive by Keith. He walks it across. Drubbed one in deep. Had a little trouble, did Taves, and then he backhanded one that Holtby got a piece of. Led to the outside and set up for Keith. A shot was wide. Rebound. They jam away at it. Do they score? Yes! Tie game. Out of the net now scramble. Jonathan Taves has tied it. A power play goal. 3-3.
Edzo, Duncan Keith shoots this wide on purpose, and that makes it all happen for the Chicago Blackhawks. What a brilliant play by Duncan Keith.
Patrick Sharp sent this puck over about 40 feet. And Chicago not in much of a hurry. Here's Sharp. He'll move it to Duncan Keith, and to Pierre's point, he shoots it about 4 or 5 feet off, and there you see the captain. He banks it in off of Braden Holtby. And a power play goal. And there you see the fortunate bounce for the captain of the Blackhawks.
What a smart play by Duncan Keith. That's just brilliance under fire by the captain of the, or the assaulter, the captain of the Hawks.
33 to go. Off a glove, Pisani jammed it back in. Carl Alsner just holding it. Alsner with an opening, led it ahead for Ovechkin, but offside is called with 16.8 remaining.
Edzo, I love the aggressive coaching tactics of Joel Quenneville. He pulls his goalie, he sends a message to his team. I have confidence in you guys on the road, and they responded like champions. That's brilliant coaching, I think, by Joel Quenneville.
Yeah, real aggressive. Get that extra guy out there to win those little foot races and to make it a 6-on-4. Give yourself a chance.
Fans do not approve. They will for now in Chicago because they have 82 points. They've pulled away from the clutch of 4 to join Dallas in a clutch of 2, tied for 4th. Maybe another point to come from that. Overtime in 30 seconds.
We forever changed poker again with homegames.net. Home Games make it poker night with your buddies any night. Create your own poker club for your friends and put your reputation on the line. Play for free. We've almost always got a great promo or contest running, so check in often. Play for free at pokerstars.net/homegames today.
The NHL Game of the Week presented by Progressive. Didn't seem like Washington was going to have a problem, but then they did on a power play in Jonathan Taves. Both teams are guaranteed a point. Who will get the extra?
Well, puck retrieval. Taves started it. Net presence. You got Hossa there. You got Brouwer there. And you got Dennis Weidman, who looked like he was on his way to the other side of the net. Look where his stick is. Doesn't have his stick on the ice. Then he goes and puts it down. And that's one thing that coaches talk to players all out. We saw it on the hit by Matt Bradley. His stick was up in the air. Thomas Kopecky, his stick was up in the air. If you're a defenseman standing in front of the net, you're better off to have your stick down already. It's a lot easier to go up for whatever reason. But if Weidman has his stick on the ice, maybe, just maybe, he denies Taves from getting that puck from below the goal line to the front of the net, and that opened up that area to tie this game up.
Keith and Sharp got the assists on that goal, by the way. Yes, Pierre.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, it just keeps getting bigger and bigger, the legend of Jonathan Toews. I mean, it's just phenomenal to watch this guy progress as a player.
Hossa and Sharp, Seabrook and Campoli, and Seabrook right in! Oh, he wouldn't go with it. Thrown back along, and Sharp plays it, but it is Schultz reversing. Pretty assertive move there by Brent Seabrook. Meanwhile, this is carried on by Johansson. Got it on back for a shot by Simmons, spiked away by Crawford. Ricocheted off Weidman, drops back further, but it is Johansson spiriting it back in. Schultz comes to the bench for a change, so also does Weidman. I hear the whistling. That's probably not from Pierre, but from Bruce Boudreau. He wants that complete change, including the forwards. And Johansson and Semin have obliged. Carried in by Kane, and a shot is blocked down by Carlson and hacked on around. Jason Arnott moves in there with Toews, and they tangle. Arnott able to pull away, and he got it onto Brooks Light. Might be a 3-on-2, but now Toews gets back defensively as it's Light holding, faking, and then throwing one off Nick Leddy. Leddy able to nicely control behind. The first minute 10 has passed in the overtime. Fed to the outside and right to the net. Nicely shuffled away by Holtby. The try coming from Toews, and now he comes to the bench for another change for Chicago. Brooks Light is the first to this one. He and Keith canceled, but then Light bounced off that and played it back onto Ovechkin. Wheels to the outside and throws one in front that spiked wide. Gale clinked off the post too. It is Light again, but cut and started back out again by Prolik. Prolik marches back on. Able to pull away from Scott Hannon. Got it over for Bickle, and that shot knifed down by Erskine and played by Hannon again. Erskine's stick bounced on the ice, and he was able to grab it as it bounced back up again. Meanwhile, back ahead comes Semin. Semin escapes to the outside, throws it around behind, and Ovechkin moves in there. Seabrook watching him. Ovechkin spun it wide. The bouncer came over to Hjalmarsson, and Hjalmarsson reversed it onto Seabrook. 2:10 gone in the sudden death overtime period. Marian Hossa darts ahead. Hossa with a shot knifed down by Schultz. Hossa up with it again. Filtered one across, but is blocked down by Ovechkin, and he will move on back further to get a little more possession. Semin returns it to him. Ovechkin drags and shoots, and it went wide. What a shot. Another try, paddled away by Crawford. And taken out of harm's way by Seabrook. Leads a pass ahead to Sharp. Past the halfway point of the overtime and offside against Chicago.
What a long shift there for Alexander Ovechkin. Give and go. He gets a puck from Alexander Semin. A quick shot, and he just bowls over Nicholas Hjalmarsson.
That's not an easy thing to do on Nicholas Hjalmarsson, by the way, who's a big person at over 220 pounds. Shows you the compete level in Ovechkin and the strength.
Those of you looking for the WGC Cadillac Championship, it continues right now on the Golf Channel. Meanwhile, we are in sudden death overtime in a regular season NHL game featuring two of the hottest teams in the league. Caps have won 9 of their last 10, the Blackhawks 8 of their last 10, and here comes Chimera. And a backhander shrugged away by Crawford. Trying to get to that one, but coming up empty was Fair, and right back comes Kane again. Peels to the outside. Kane drifts now. Looks across. He's got Keith with it. Keith fed it back to Patrick Kane. Filtered through to Keith. Breaking and wiping out was Campoli. Might be an on-man rush. Played back up the wing. Eric Fair has it. Fair tucked it in front for Carlson. Getting a piece of it was Crawford. Carlson again right out in front and a shot. And that one stifled wide by the reach of Prolik. My goodness. Great action here. A little feed in front. Comes on back. Shot. Got the glass from Weidman. Played to the outside. Back to Weidman again. 1:15 to go. Works to the outside. Then further. It's Johansson around in front. Toe breaks.
What a pass by Marcus Johansson. Patience with the puck. John Carlson kept this play alive a couple of times. But Johansson will work himself out. A little give and go. And then watch the patience by Mike Knuble. Backhand, forehand, past Corey Crawford. Watch the patience. Backhand, elevation, up and over the glove, but it was Johansson that made the pass to Knuble. Knuble didn't get in a hurry. He waited, held on to the puck, and elevated up and over Corey Crawford. And the reaction from the Capital bench. What an afternoon here in D.C.
90 points, Washington. 91, Philadelphia, idle. It will stay that way over the next 48 hours. Live final round coverage of the WGC Cadillac Championship from the Blue Monster at Doral, Florida is coming up next year. Tomorrow night on Versus, Blackhawks and Sharks in Chicago. We're back with the NHL on NBC next Sunday at 12:30 Eastern as the New York Rangers face off at Consol Energy Center in Pittsburgh against the Penguins. So, for Andy Olczyk, Pierre Maguire, Mike Milbury, Doc Emrick saying so long from our nation's capital that saluted the Blackhawks on Friday and salutes the hometown team in overtime because of Mike Knuble's goal, 4-3. You've been watching the NHL on NBC Game of the Week presented by Progressive Insurance. Good afternoon, everyone.